To welcome our good friend Boyd Summerhays, former PGA Tour player and golf instructor, joining us right now. Help you improve your game, talk a little golf. Boyd, good morning. How are you?
Hi, guys. How you doing, Brian and Bob?
Doing good.
Thanks for having me on this morning.
Hey, it's always good to chat with you. And you know what? I understand that you're not playing as much as you used to. You're spending more time on the teaching tee, and that's good for those that are able to work with you because I know you do a good job.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, just transitioned out of full-time playing about a year ago. Been teaching full-time down here at McDowell Mountain Golf Club in Scottsdale, Arizona. And then while I'm up in Utah over the summer at Davis Park Golf Course. So, it is different, but it's enjoyable. It's still, like you guys, we're in the golf business for a reason. There's a passion for it, and it's still we're in the game and helping others. So,
do you have a particular focus? I mean, as far as your students and that kind of thing, who you're working with?
I teach right now anywhere from touring professionals, whether it's guys that are got a few guys that are trying to get out on the PGA Tour. Trevor Murphy that just went through the Web.com finals. He'll be playing full time out there. Just the everyday guy and lady that are trying to improve. But I think one area that I've really tried to focus on is this high school and college development age. These kids that are serious about it, have a passion. It's amazing how much a junior golfer can improve when they get, some structure, some good fundamentals, and I try to always keep it pretty fun. I'm a big believer that if we like doing what we're doing, we have a lot better chance of being passionate about it, putting the time into it. So that's been a real rewarding age group that I've been working with as well.
Boyd Summerhays joining us here on Real Golf Radio. So let's talk about that. I think it's interesting. There's I'll throw myself in that group that's got a 14-year-old, a freshman in high school that made the golf team, still needs to do a lot to improve. What are some things that you would recommend to the parents out there to best help their junior golfers? What are the things? What are the habits? What are the drills or routines that you could encourage your junior golfer to get into to help them to be successful?
Well, I think with junior golfers, first off, there's been a big shift in instruction with all this TrackMan, high-definition cameras. One thing that I really take seriously is that I try to, at a young age, teach my students what they do well first and then where their few weaknesses are. You look at Tiger Woods. He's always working on getting the club a little bit more in front of him coming down. He'll always have that habit that he'll always be working on. But I think as a young junior golfer, I think it's really important for these kids to know as a person they're completely different than the next person. Their golf swing is going to be different as well. But it doesn't mean that we can't make it very sound with still their fingerprint on it. So that's the first place where I start is I want kids that are very confident with their own nuances in their swing. I don't want them looking like somebody else. I want them being themselves. And then once they have a basis for just knowing pretty much where the ball's going, develop a shot pattern, and it becomes all, 120 yards in. Work on the wedges, the chipping, the putting, because as a junior golfer, if you can putt and chip and wedge it, you can play college golf. There's no doubt about it. I've seen that over and over with my students, that when they focus from 120 in, they can really do some great things.
Well, and that shorter game is kind of where you can really make up a lot of shots real quick, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start most of my junior camps and even the elite camps and say, hey, there are some physical limitations that you do have still. We haven't grown into our bodies completely. You may lack the distance, but there is no excuse for a bad short game, really. Even at a very young age, I think that's one thing my father really stressed with myself and my brother Daniel. He built this little chipping area in our backyard, and there's times where we couldn't get to the golf course on the weekends before, 1 o'clock. We're always working on our short game, and then that became the basis moving forward, because you guys have seen it just as much as anybody. Even the best players in the world, they're going to miss their, 4 to 5, 6 greens around. They're going to miss some par 5s and 2. They're always going to have a good short game to shoot well. And, that's been the hallmark of Tiger Woods, is getting up and down, making the key chip, putt. So if these kids get that drilled in their head young that, hey, we're going to be great scorers of the ball, we're not going to be so obsessed with our golf swings, I think I can make an impact for the positive there.
Boyd Summerhays joining us right here on Real Golf Radio. All right, let's turn the attention to the rest of us. Many of us throughout the country are stuck in cold, frozen times. What can we do? I mean, you sit there on TV and you watch Golf Channel and you see the beautiful scenes of Maui and Kapalua, and all of a sudden that thing inside just starts to click and you start twitching a little bit, wanting to grab your golf clubs, and yet you have nowhere to play. What can we do now to get a little golf fix or help our game out during the off season so that when the thaw does happen, we can get out and play some good golf?
That's a great question. It's true. There's a lot of parts in the country where the PGA Tour just started. We're watching it, but we can't do it. And I think the first thing that I encourage my students to do is make a list from 2013 what you were strong with and what you were weak at. That's the first part. As most golfers I've seen, they like to work on what they're good at because it's more enjoyable. But the truth is when someone can turn a weakness to a strength, then they make, dramatic improvements in their game. Their, scores lower. So that's the first part. Recognize maybe your first priority, your second, that really is holding you back from shooting low. Get that in your mind on the off season. Then start to, I think you need to seek out help. I think have an instructor that you trust in the area be able to, make a plan for that area. Now, for those that can't get out, you've got the heated ranges. You can build something in your garage. But I think the main thing I really think is helpful is to have a club in my hand. For us that play a lot but then have an off season, the grip can really get uncomfortable if you don't play for a month or two. So I like to have a club in my hand in the off season. If say I'm watching the Golf Channel, watching a tournament, have a club in your hand. Ben Hogan was a big proponent of that, having a golf club in your hand, working on your grip, keeping that comfortable. Even just making swings, will keep you loose. And I think it's another great time of year to be able to focus on the physical aspect too, because the truth is once we get going and we get in our seasons and we're playing a lot, I think some people it's hard to get into a strength and conditioning program or stretches, but I think the off season is a great time to address some of the physical limitations that we may have that are holding us back in our golf swing.
Especially this time of year, coming off of the holidays. I think that I've added my limitations for sure.
Right. No, exactly. No, there's a lot of truth to that.
Hey, Boyd, we appreciate you spending some time with us, man. Congratulations on the good success you're having as an instructor, and we'll have to have you on again real soon and get some more insights, and of course catch up on how Daniel's doing as well. It's an exciting year for him back on the PGA Tour, having played so well last year and come so close. I would expect he's knocking on the door of picking up that W, huh?
Absolutely. We were just in Hawaii. He's getting ready for the Sony starting up, so we were out there over the holidays and got to play with him a few times, and he's really developed into a great player. He's playing really well. He's really just progressed a little bit each year, and like you say, he was knocking on the door, so we have high hopes for him this year, and we'll be pulling for him, so we appreciate the support.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, we'll talk to you soon, Boyd. Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks, Brian Bob.
Okay, there you go. Boyd Summerhays joining us right here.